Hey there, ghouls and ghosts. Welcome to Seven Scorpion Tarot. I am your host with the most, and I want to welcome you to tonight's reading. Tonight, I want to do a reading to welcome in Scorpio season. So, I've got some tea here for some tea time and some notes to talk about the scorpion in mythology a little bit, and then we'll get into the reading. So, let's get started. So, Scorpio season. I'll be posting this tomorrow, so we'll be into the first full day of Scorpio season. So the scorpion in mythology. The first note I have here is about Serket, the Egyptian goddess of venomous creatures. She, one of her alternate names was she who tightens the throat. She was a patron of doctors, much like Sekhmet. The Sekhmet's cult centers also had healers as well. And it was Serket who gifted Isis with her seven scorpions, the myth that this channel is named after. In addition to the Egyptians, we also have the Greeks as well, with Orion and Scorpius. So that tale, it's a cautionary tale of pride, because Orion touted himself as, the greatest hunter, and was ultimately taken down by Scorpius, by one of Gaia's creatures. And Zeus created the constellation as a reminder not to be prideful. And I like to think of that version of the myth is that's the version that Artemis would have likely fallen for, because she was, notoriously adverse to the company of man. And I just feel like that boastful and prideful characterization of Orion would have been who would have shown up in her love story. And in addition to those, I also wanted to talk about a fable, the scorpion and the frog. This one, I've heard a few different versions of this throughout my life, of the scorpion and the frog, the scorpion and the fox. But basically, the scorpion is waiting on one side of the river, and frog comes along, and the scorpion's trying to hitch a ride to the other side. And the frog, rightfully so, has some trepidations about giving the scorpion a ride because he's concerned that they're going to get stung. But the scorpion assures the frog that no, I won't sting you, because if I sting you, then we both drown. So, okay, that makes sense. So the frog, lets the scorpion on his back, and they carry along, and the scorpion stings a frog halfway across the river. And when the frog asks why, the scorpion says, "It's in my nature." And I've always thought that was a really interesting fable, is sometimes it gets interpreted as what is that quote? Like, hurt people, which I think is a little bit of a misappropriation of that. Um, but for the stinging to be in the nature of the scorpion, it's very Zen, it's very Buddhist, because that's what scorpions do. And the very, hyper logical part of my brain wants to say, oh, they're basically little nervous systems with not a lot of forethought, crawling around, and probably got some sort of stimuli and just stung, like, without thought. Um, which would be the likely scenario without, the scorpion and the frog being able to have a dialogue between one another. And that, I think, is a valuable thing to think about, to not fault people for the way that they're wired. However, they are still responsible for the way that they're wired. It's an important distinction between fault and responsibility that fable can illustrate. So Scorpio, ruled by Pluto, the Roman name for Hades, or Mars in traditional astrology. So prior to the outer planets being discovered, the traditional ruler would have been Aries. And I kind of think of this time as like the autumnal equinox is Persephone returning home. Scorpio season is Hades welcoming Persephone home. You know, she's had a little bit of time to settle in, and now Hades is starting to show off his crown more because his wife has returned home. And I feel, I don't know, an odd kinship with that scorpionic energy. I don't know if they're, because they're my outer planet neighbor, you know, Pisces sun and Pluto right there next to Neptune. But I think that's my Pluto placement is something that I've always felt really strongly as a millennial, with all the what industry did we kill this week? You know, was it paper towels? Was it marriage? what did we take out? uh, but I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's just because in my chart I have really heavy, like a couple of stelliums in Pisces and Capricorn, so that heavy outer planet energy, just feel that sort of like, I don't know, bond with that energy out there. And Pluto being the outcast, definitely relate. And I still count Pluto as a planet. Neil deGrasse Tyson. The other part of the Hades myth that I wanted to touch on a little bit that leads into the reading is Cerberus, however you want to say that, the guardian of the threshold. So he was to prevent Harry Potter from getting to the Philosopher's Stone. Cerberus was to prevent the living from entering the underworld, but also from leaving the underworld. He was the 12th labor of Hercules. And I'm trying to remember if it was taming him or capturing him. I don't recall exactly. But Cerberus was that guardian of the threshold. So that's where I want to lead into today's reading. So I've got some psychopops here to oversee the reading between Anubis, Dr. Plague, and the Day of the Dead kitty. And so let's read on the three heads of Cerberus: the life, death, and rebirth. So very scorpionic. Let's see. So we'll start with the three cards and kind of go from there. See where that gets us. This is the Game of Thrones tarot. I thought a show with lots and lots of death in it might be appropriate for Scorpio season. So in the life position, we have the King of Swords, which is interesting since it's the Night King there on the life position. He's not a very lively guy. So the Master of the Mind. So this is the energy that would be peaking, coming up before death, and then rebirth. And I'm doing it in a squiggle instead of a circle just because of the outline. This could be a trait or traits that you need to let go of. That's why we're coming into the death cycle next, whatever that next card is. Because the King of Swords, and this comes out in the reverse. Oh, the Emperor's on the bottom. Oh, interesting duality there between Jon Snow and the Night King. But in the reverse, both the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords, if they are assigned to people, assigned to individuals in your lives, these would be like the narcissist cards. And that could take any form, malignant, covert, however. And I don't want to encourage armchair diagnoses, but I understand the conundrum of if you believe you're dealing with a narcissist and the challenge of getting them to participate in therapy in those modalities is a little tough. But the King of Swords is a pretty ruthless energy. I imagine that's why the authors chose the Night King as the representative of this card. But it's a cold, icy background, very just calculating and manipulative. And I don't get that exact same vibe from the Rider-Waite deck in the upright. Like, this has a much more nefarious vibe to it, probably just because of the character association. But think about what he was trying to do. So he was changed by the children of the forest, and then went about, changing other people. So it's that like generational trauma. So that could be the thing that needs to metaphorically die. Be put to rest. And when I say put to rest, it can be put on the shelf for later. You don't need to be done healing to progress on with your life. So, 9 of Coins in reverse. Daenerys. This is the Independence card. So, what was this place called? This is the Where Are My Dragons place. I don't remember what the city's called. But she had shown up there, in tatters with her crew, and they just about turned her away before she was vouched for. And then things started going awry. Um, Although in the second book, that depiction of the House of the Undying, that was really, really cool. I think they did really well in the show, but definitely prefer the book. But so, with the Knight of Coins in reverse, this could be leaving some independence behind, which makes my skin crawl. Ooh, don't like that feeling at all. Um, but I think of like leaving independence behind as like the Three of Pentacles, the teamwork. This could even be the Three of Cups, like leading towards that, leading towards the coven. Because you really can't do it all on your own, especially if you are dealing with any type of narcissism, like trying to counter that. Because if there, God forbid, is any type of like gaslighting present, it doesn't hurt to have somebody to like bounce stuff off of, just to, have that trusted confidant that, make sure you can really, really trust. You could also interpret this very literally, that there's an individual in your life that's trying to block your independence. Ugh, I hope not. I've been there. So, uh, there are resources to help if you are in that situation. I'm going to make kind of probably a judgy sounding statement. But if you are of the female persuasion, talk to female professionals. Not that the men can't help, just saying. I just feel like there's a kinship there, and I find I get better results talking to women. That's not exclusively true though, so just take everything with a grain of salt, because I've had bad results with women as well, reaching out to them for help. But if you can't afford, like a doctor's appointment or something on your insurance or whatever, um, check out your local Planned Parenthood. See if there are resources there for you. Community boards. I don't know if the library would be a place to go, but it would be a place to utilize a computer that wouldn't, you know, your browser history wouldn't be available at home. Like if your situation is that bad, you know, and if it is that bad, the sooner that you can accept that and admit that to yourself, the sooner you'll get help. So that is a topic close to my heart. So help's out there. I mean, think of all the people that came to Daenerys' aid, like throughout her journey. So many people, and she just like rallied them. I mean, she had dragons. That helped. Let's get the rebirth. I'm going to do some clarification on these. Because I really hope there's nobody in your life trying to get in the way of your independence. And it doesn't, like, I have my reasons for going to such an extreme example, because there's other examples available. Like, it could be a work thing, could be somebody's, taking your credit for the work you're doing, or omitting you from receiving credit. That's another way of stealing credit, is just omission. Rebirth. What's helping us out of this? Oop. The Nine of Swords in reverse. Okay. A little bit of a dark scene. This is from the Red Wedding. This would have been like when Arya and the Hound were walking past, like, the wolf pens and stuff outside. We're really realizing what had happened. But this is the anxiety and the nightmare card, and it came out in the reverse. So those are being relieved. The reverse is actually the more positive position for this to come out. So it's the relief of anxiety that's leading to the rebirth. This feels to me less like an aspect of self and a situation, and more like a situation. I don't know why. That's just the vibe I'm getting. But if it is an aspect of self, let that rigidity that could be impeding your prosperity by way of anxiety die. But let's get some clarification. What's up with this King of Swords? And when we pulled the King of Swords, the Emperor with Jon Snow was on the bottom. So something wants to counteract that. Maybe you're well aware of these bad behavioral patterns in yourself, or someone in your life is like this, is a malignant force that I hope you're not, like, getting ready to go to war with. But if you're gearing up, it looks like with the Emperor card, might be full well ready to defend yourself, which against the Night King I think is wise. King of Coins, Peter Baelish, and it came out in reverse. So this is the Master of Coin in reverse. It's the Master of Materials, material realm, the mind. So it could be body and mind. Are your body and mind in conflict over something? Because I know I've had that. Like, when I've been in a situation where I was being manipulated, my body reacted to it first before it registered in my mind. wild. How about another? Because you can also read this too as another person. And King of Coins. So earth, air. So individuals in your life that have those corresponding signs. Another in the life position. Okay. 2 more. 5 of Spears and the Ace of Swords. So, So conflict is kind of further solidifying my vibe that this is a situation and not an aspect of self. It is a situation. I'm sorry that you're going through it. And the Ace of Swords, this is Jon Snow's sword. This is Longclaw. And it came out in the upright. And he's holding it in, this makes me think it's like squaring up, you know. And the 5 of Spears, the 5 of Wands, so a conflict of wills. Are you in conflict about ideas of something with with a couple of people? I'm trying to stay away from the gender because it's just the yang energy, the masculine energy, which I think is a bit of a misnomer associating that to yang. But that this is not yin energy. This is not receptive energy. This is offensive energy. This is outward energy. So conflict, very combative energy, and a sharpness of wit might be required in order to navigate this. Get something here. The 9 of Coins, some clarity. So 9 of Coins in reverse in the Death position. Let's clarify that. Page of Swords. The student of the mind. What the heck is going on? It's just interesting how these things are coming out because the Sons of the Harpy are very intricately intertwined with Daenerys' story. And the way I tend to think of like the pages and the knights are like the message and the messenger, because the knight has the horse, the Pony Express. So the page writes the message and the knight delivers a message. So there's a fairly devastating message that brings this situation to an end. Let's get one more. Coins, Page of Swords. Okay. Oh, 2. That's weird. Happened on this one, too. Oop. Okay. Guess we're getting a third. That flew right out. So, some clarity on the 9 of Coins and the Page of Swords. 3 of Spears in reverse. 6 of Spears in reverse. And the 3 of Coins. So I'd spoken briefly about the 3 of Pentacles, that the loss or the death of independence, could lead to the 3 of Coins or the 3 of Cups. Because the 3 of Coins is that teamwork, and in order to escape the Sons of the Harpy, Daenerys absolutely relied on a team. And the 3 of Spears, it's Peter Baelish again. Let's see what the book says about that one. And then the 6 of Spears, it's another Daenerys card, actually in the same city that the 9 of Coins is depicted in. This is shortly after when she reveals, this is like one of my favorite episodes, when she reveals that she can speak High Valyrian to the Unsullied owners, and lays waste with little baby Drogon and gets out of there with an army. But the 6 of Spears, this is the victory card, and it came out reverse. So in the upright, that's public victory, and in the reverse, you can read that as a private victory. So teamwork could be leading to a quiet escape, a quiet victory, which, I mean, if you're dealing with a narcissist, just be done with it. Just be done with it. Like, don't extend that any further than what is necessary, because it will wreck you. And, I mean, that's just my recommendation. It's your life. You know your situation far better than I do. Okay, let's see what the book says. So 3 of Spears, key meanings: travel, action, manifestation, success, quirkiness. Peter Baelish observes sailing ships from a cliff top before the Battle of Blackwater Bay. Reversed meaning: you may need to simplify your goals just now. Communication has become complicated and may even break down, leaving you feeling unsupported or isolated. This, however, is just a glitch. Keep going. Oh, I know I'm using what's become a buzzword, but narcissists will isolate you, and not just narcissists, but abusive partners, abusive friends, abusive bosses, people, whomever. They will try to cut you off from your support system. Watch out for red flags of, like, they don't want other people to know how they treat you, if that makes sense. Like, something I've noticed throughout my life is how many people have a problem with me telling the truth. Red flag. Red flag. So, this three of coins, that count on your people to build that structure around you if, you're going through it. And let them help you. They can't help if they don't know what's going on. That wanted to come out. Let's see. Two of coins in reverse. A Lannister always pays his debts. Or do they? So, a card about balance. Maybe things are a bit out of balance. Let's see what the book says. As the Lannisters, at one or many points in the show, were in significant debt to, I think it's the Iron Bank, to the King of Coins, to Peter Baelish. I think he oversaw that. I think that's what that arrangement was. Why he had so much power. Should watch the show again. It's been a minute, but Two of Coins. Key meanings: resources, balance, tension, decisions. Reverse meaning: when reversed, the card shows financial hardship and lack. This may be down to poor budgeting, unexpected expenses, or irresponsible actions such as gambling. An additional meaning is investing too much time in a project or partnership. Oh, the relinquishing of independence. Partnership. So this could be, your own entrepreneurial endeavor that you've invested a lot of time in, or somebody wants to partner with you and you don't want them to, and you're having a hard time navigating that conflict with them, that you don't want them as part of this process. But somehow you're flipping that energy, that anxiety, into the positive. Maybe by dissolving the partnership or just deciding not to pursue it. Deciding not to pursue it. The Chariot in reverse. So Drogon, this was one of many of Daenerys' speeches that I so enjoy. I think this one was given in Dothraki. So interesting symbolism that in this center position, we had been talking about where she had revealed that she speaks High Valyrian, but in this part, this is where it's like we're switching languages over into Dothraki. So she's gone a different direction from this partnership, or these partnerships, however it may be, for your respective situation. Interesting. This is complicated. What's going on with you, Scorpio? And I mean, not surprising for Scorpio energy. Um, let's do an outcome card, and then we'll get some oracle cards, and yeah. Let's see. Whoop. Outcome. Oh, two. Ooh, the Empress and the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. Wow, these are really syncing up really well because, like, the, you know, breaking the wheel with Daenerys. So right now, this energy is blocked. So I would say we're kind of at the beginning of the metaphorical Daenerys journey, where she was at the bottom trying to get into the gates. So the wheel hasn't turned yet. But we are, 0 degrees into Scorpio, into the season of transformation, the season of death. So this wheel has just, you can hear like creaking wood, like on a ship, like how she is in this card here. But it's just starting. So I think overall, like, rough ride, not gonna lie. Um, but for where it's headed, I think you'll be all right. I think you will. And however you get the wheel turning is going to be, up to your individual situations. Um, so let's get an alchemy card, and so many cards on the table. We'll get an alchemy card and a fallen angel card. Oh, Neptune is still on the bottom. Oh, two. Mortification. Sublimination. Oh. Oh, and they're right next to each other. Cool. So juxtaposed with the colors and the monochrome. Wow. So yeah, I really like this. This is very Ace of Cups, because in the Ace of Cups card in the Rider Waite, it's a dove diving into the Holy Grail, um, with like a wafer in its mouth. I think that's what it's in its mouth. The communion. Um, and on the Holy Grail, I know there's some debate whether it's an M or a W on the picture, but I think it's a sigma, a capital sigma on its side, and like the little drops coming off of it are uh, supposed to be yod, the Hebrew word yod, um, but they are also very reminiscent of a lowercase sigma. So I think that's an interesting alternate interpretation. But I digress. Um, on this mortification card, this looks like, I mean, it's some sort of mammal eye with just worms crawling all around it, but it doesn't look like it's decaying. So a creature of death, maybe? Let's see. We'll get an angel. And this is the Angelarium, the Oracle of the Fallen. Beautiful, beautiful art in this. Samshiel, the Angel of the Eclipse. We just got out of eclipse season, so maybe this process, whatever is going on in this underlying scenario, has already begun. Feels chaotic. Okay, let's get this one first. Let's see. He's in alphabetical order. I don't think so. All right. Samshiel, Angel of the Eclipse. When Samshiel taught the cultivation of plants, gone were the days of nomadic life. This gift rooted people to their land and gave them power. He taught them to watch the sun and take nourishment from it and make it their own. When the warm months brought work into the fields, Samshiel led the effort. It was easy to spot him out there because his great stature loomed above the other workers, beaming down at them. The time of harvest was always his favorite. He would sing as he swung his huge scythe through the field, flattening the landscape. He swayed and cut throughout the day, working until the sun dimmed over the horizon. The year the rains left, the fields caught fire. With their loss, something left him. He would stand in the scorched remains, looking out over the darkened expanse. He was like a shadow without a body to cast it. Domain. Volatility, harvest, and omens. Card meaning. Something powerful is set to disappear soon. The light will still be there, but you won't have access to it for a time. Keeping the faith when the world is cold can be hard, but it's a worthy cause. Trapped in the moment of an eclipse can feel like a place apart from the rest of reality, but it's an illusion. Heavy. Very, very Scorpio. Particularly with the mention of the scythe. I mean, I know that's traditionally a symbol of Saturn, but I mean, it makes me think of the Grim Reaper death, and but the fields being raised by fire, and then him standing in sorrow. I mean, this is the sorrow that comes before the nightmares turn around, before the anxiety is relieved. And the Chariot being in reverse too is reinforcing taking pause, because they mention here the light will still be there, but you won't have access to it for a time. Because when this first came out, it was, I had mentioned like not proceeding with something, with like a partnership, but maybe taking pause after the disillusion of a partnership, or just deciding not to proceed with it in the first place. Like, take the time to grieve, because this is, life, death, rebirth. There's going to be some grief associated to some stuff in that cycle, as necessary and transformative as it is. So, sublimation. Elevation, rising, flight. Sublimation is the great alchemical operation of air, swords energy. It occurs when there is enough heat to change a solid substance into a gas, causing it to rise up, up, and away. Therefore, when sublimation is present, there is an aspect of celebrated elevation, of ascending above and gaining a greater perspective. Birds in flight, mountain peaks, ladders, and balloons are all sublimation's images. As with all the operations, sublimation has a shadow potential. Through ascension, there is a risk of separating from others. So the partnership, like separating, when we were talking about. There is a risk of separating from others, of sensing oneself higher or above. This risk is particularly great in spiritual traditions that offer a linear model of achievement. The divine alchemist rises humbly and supports the upliftment of others, always in touch with the cycle of humanity. Service is the natural balancing agent for sublimation. It may be the next rung on your ladder. Go deeper. Watch the final scene of The Red Balloon by Albert Lamorice. Lamorice? I don't know how to pronounce that. To ponder the magic of air travel. Let's see what mortification says, because that seems really juxtaposed. So, mortification, decay, death, decomposition. Mortification is the great alchemical operation of darkness. What was once composed now decomposes. What was once presentable is now despicable. This stage cannot be avoided. The underworld has taken us into the dark interior of its underbelly, and here we reside until spring. Very Hades, Persephone, Demeter, etc. Through the natural process of decay, we descend into the depths we didn't know existed. The alchemist soon finds mortification is a stage of regeneration and sacred power, where the soil is fertile and rich, offering nourishment for tomorrow. This stage cannot be rushed. The darkness must have time to do its work, to dismantle and to loosen, to free us from old scripts and stories as we learn to surrender to this great operation. The earth turns and wisdom whispers in the dark. She envelops us with grace and the promise of what's to come. Go deeper. Read the Egyptian story of Osiris, and to ponder, is there anything that does not end? Interesting. And I feel like these should be in a different order. So, Samshiel, Angel of the Eclipse, would say the sorrow, the grief, the conflict. That's sort of the inception for this life, death, and rebirth. And then sublimation, I would put in the rebirth, that elevated perspective. And then, of course, death in the death position. And these go over here in the outcome. Wow. Um, I think this is more than enough to chew on. Normally I would, well, let's get some dye. See if maybe this might give you some insight as to who might be involved. Do that just real quick. Because this is awfully complex. So hopefully we'll get some insight as to placements for who might be involved, or what placements of yours might be relevant if these are aspects of self. Who's that? Pluto. Okay, just doubling down on Scorpio. So, wow, just confirmation that it's big stuff, big transformation. Wow. And I think Scorpio is the 8th house. So, I mean, we'll see if we roll that, but if we don't, that would be another placement to check out. Uranus. Oh, I grabbed 2 planet die instead of the house. I guess we're going with that. So Pluto, Uranus, outer planet stuff. Uranus is in Taurus right now. Aphrodite's father. Trying to think of. I'm having a hard time conjuring myths between Hades and Aphrodite at the moment, but more to look into. And Leo. So maybe there's a Leo somewhere involved, or your own Leo placements. So since this is so heavy, I can't in good conscience leave you without some self-care. I think that's going to be really important going through this transformation. Okay. We're getting a lot. Maybe this is for the entirety of Scorpio season. This is all the self-care you need. So the Court of Owls, very shadowy Batman. Batman definitely confronts his shadow there. But my favorite Batman comic for sure. Breaking Bad, also super shadowy. I think that kind of goes without saying, the character development, the revealing of the villain inside. Interesting. Outlaw Star, one of my favorite animes. I know Cowboy Bebop gets all the attention for the space western for anime. Outlaw Star is really enjoyable. I really liked it. And Hellsing Ultimate. I prefer that one over the regular Hellsing series. It's another anime that I really, really enjoy. If you've ever wondered, what a battle between the Third Reich and vampires would be like in the Catholic Church, watch Hellsing Ultimate. I think one of the main antagonists, he might have been Protestant, not Catholic. Regardless, really good. And wow, these are just flying out. You really need to take care of yourself during this. So, Passenger by Deftones and Serial and Cartoons. Both really excellent recommendations. White Pony, I think, is one of the best albums around. Can't recommend it enough. And Serial and Cartoons, I mean, that's an excellent dinner plan, an excellent Sunday morning plan. Whenever it fits into your schedule, super easy. I love me some Courage the Cowardly Dog. I think that's a great cartoon. I think I might, I'm going to carve out some time for that myself. I know this one was complicated and went, you know, all over the place. And by how the self care flew out, uh, I think that is its own message that prioritizing yourself through Scorpio season is going to be really, really important. So I hope this helps. I hope this resonates. And if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.